I do know that many of you distinguished audience who have come to be part of this discussion are as interested as anyone should be about the state of Nigeria at 100. This is the centenary year of our nation, and it is definitely a historical moment for all of us that are alive at this time. There are not many people in this hall who could have been alive at that time that the amalgamation happened. Or is there any such privileged being so we can celebrate that? Well, somebody is claiming to be 100 over there. I don't think so. Anyway, but the fact is that the average age of nations around the world is said to be 159 years. In the case of a country like America, I think last year it was the 238, or the 200 and, I think so, yes, 238. This year, 238. Last year they were 237. And last July they were 238. The age of a country is important to the extent that those who try to connect historical facts, political facts to economic development always try to understand how to situate the coming together of a nation with the outcome that the nation manages to achieve over time. In the case of Nigeria, one of the things that people talk about a lot is the basis of our becoming an entity known as Nigeria. And in a way that shows sometimes the regret of some of the people who focus on the emergence of the entity called Nigeria. They try to be almost farcical about it by saying, oh, well, you know, it was something that was put together by the girlfriend of somebody. So, an allusion to the fact that Miss Flora Shaw, who ended up becoming the wife of Lord Lugard, was a journalist who, in the course of her write-ups about Nigeria, talked about Nigeria as Niger area. And so today, by focusing on that concept of the Niger area and what it really portends for us as citizens as well as friends of Nigeria, it is necessary that I should introduce the conversation that we would be having from different lenses that will be carried by the speakers that are with me today, from a perspective that sort of gives us some basic insight. One insight that is important is that history tells us that our territory was a vast territory, and that it's around the Niger area, everybody knows that, with people of varying ethnicities, cultures, kingdoms, and empires. There was the Benin Empire, the Lower Niger kingdoms, popularly referred to as the Oil Rivers, the Fulani Empire of Zoj, later referred to as Sokoto, and the Kanem Ronu Empire, the Oduduwa Empire of the Yoruba, the Arachuku Empire of the Igbos, and the Abo Empire that sprang from the Benin Empire. Amalgamation of Nigeria began in 1883 with the merging of the Oil Rivers Protectorate with surrounding territories from the Niger Coast Protectorate. And then by 1897, I seem to be getting some noise through the system. Is it fine?
It's okay.
Is everybody okay?
It's okay.
Yeah, very well. In 1897, the defeated Benin Kingdom was amalgamated with the Niger Coast Protectorate to form the Southern Protectorate. In 1906, the colony of Lagos was merged with the Southern Protectorate to form the colony and protectorate of Southern Nigeria. And as I said, Miss Flora Shaw, who was a journalist with the Times newspaper on colonial affairs, had written an article and suggested the name Nigeria for all the territories around the river Niger, that is the Niger area. In 1902, Miss Flora Shaw was married to Frederick Lord, who at that time was the High Commissioner for the Protectorate of Northern Nigeria. And, you know, by very interesting stroke of fortune, he ended up as the Governor General of Nigeria. And so she became what you today call First Lady. The Nigerian state was therefore created on January 1, 1914, by the amalgamation of the Protectorate of Northern Nigeria and the Colony and Protectorate of Southern Nigeria. And those two protectorates ceased to exist as separate legal entities and were replaced by a single entity called the Colony and Protectorate of Nigeria. The period between 1914 and 1960 saw the growth of nationalism and agitation for independence. Eventually, an independent Nigeria state, or Nigerian state, emerged in 1960 upon meandering through the maze of regional interests and sectional inclinations. And I must stop at this point to pay another tribute to the Anikulapo-Kuti family for the fact that the story of our independence, don't clap here, audience, I haven't finished my talk. You know, the story of our independence cannot be complete without a mention of Miss Chief Mrs. Fumilayo Ransom. She definitely was a woman that set the pace concerning the agenda for women in this country and in the rest of Africa. And her global reputation stands in her great credit all through history. So now you can clap. Thank you very much for being a very supportive audience. So, she, alongside the nationalists drawn from across the length and breadth of our nation, enabled our independence to happen. Consequently, though the Nigerian state has remained geographically intact since independence, what, however, has not happened is the emergence of the Nigerian nation. There is a big difference between a country and a nation. And it is the wide gulf between becoming a physical, integrated entity called a country, as distinct from becoming a nation of people united around a common purpose and vision with a sense of shared identity that continues to cause the basis for disenchantment and the conflict and the frustration that the multi-ethnic Nigerians express at the Niger area. There are many schools of thought on the amalgamation. There is a school of thought that thinks this is 2014, it's already 100 years, and you know what? When it is 100 years, any treaty that is not dated expires. So for those people, they actually think that Nigeria ought to cease to exist as a legal entity. This school of thought believe that 100 years after, there is urgent need for the territories to reconvene on a negotiation table and to agree on terms to either continue the amalgamation or to regain their pre-1914 autonomies. Another school of thought. These are the ones that think the amalgamation from the very beginning was a big mistake. You might find some of them in this hall, right? I dare not ask them because their voices may be too loud for us to control. Those ones feel that the amalgamation that happened in 1914 has not in any way delivered any tangible accomplishment because our differences stand in the way of that. Our differences, ethnic, religious, tribal, language, and whatsoever else you might have to throw in that act, outweigh our similarities, these school of thought normally say. According to them, the fact that we're all Africans might have misguided the British government in the amalgamation. Because we may be Africans, but we're not the same people. That's what they say. Those who blame the British for the amalgamation say there should never have been a Nigeria, that the various ethnic groups had nothing in common. Oh, I hear this conversation sometimes. He says, what exactly do I have in common with so and so? Everything. That's the man rooting for a united Nigeria.